Yes, we are live, but I'm not seeing you there still, so I'll do just the same right over here. And we will begin shortly, for sure. And beginning we are. Today we are going to talk about purpose-driven building mastery. And yes, it is quite an expression intended. I believe the punch is really of utmost need these days. We really need to have building mastery around purpose, which is, by the way, if you haven't seen these lives, or if you come and you want to have a refresh, purpose really amounts to finding our own truthful, creative expression for the benefit of us all, because our life here on this planet, the way I see it, really intends that. Our life intends to be like a gift that we have the right and the responsibility to give, to offer to the world. And for sure, dealing, grappling, facing all the challenges, all the obstacles, all the difficulties we face, doing so, because that's life as it is. Life isn't designed to make us happy, to make us automatically fulfilled, to have some wings coming out of our backs, and okay, of course not. And you know it. And you know it by this time. You know that life is hard, yes, but really can be very much more fulfilling, very much more energized, very much more idealistic in the very best sense of the world, which is the sense that really is willing to go the distance, to give the effort, to put the needed time, energy, resources, willingness to make things happen. No matter how long will it take, no matter how hard it may be, to the very best of our ability, we feel the drive, we feel the need, and we feel the calling for that to happen, and as such, we do so. We do it. We go for it. That's the ideal, at least. And yes, it's possible to do it in practice. Even if not perfect, even if not full-time, even if interrupted, even if blocked, even if plagued by whatever the issue may be, because this is a full contact sport. Living your life purpose is the most challenging life endeavor that I ever tried to do till these days, I assure you. And yes, so I will not make the La La Land type of talk. Yes, I will not. But at the same time, I will bring some principles that I believe that are most useful to you, to the very best of my ability. I'm only bounded, same as you. We are only bounded. Our own responsibility is to bring forth the very best of our efforts, and for sure, to evermore try that very same best is ever more appropriate, ever more effective, ever more bountiful, not only for us and for the ones we love, but for every single person. That's what living in community really is. That's what making a dent into the world really is not cashing in, is not making a whole bunch of money, although those must be really helpful in making a lasting legacy, no doubt about it, as long as they serve all. Not all likewise in the same proportion, the same fashion. We know that's some sort of utopian these days, although I don't see any problem with utopias, for sure. I don't. I like utopias. But we must acknowledge that we are only bound to making the very best that we can. So let's dance the dance between having ideals and making those ideals live up to the test of reality every single day. And let's keep fighting the good fight. Let's keep fighting a good fight every single day. Let's keep plunging ahead with ever more willingness. And let's also, yes, for sure, respect those days, those moments when enough is enough. We can do it better. So let's accept the fullness of it. Purpose-driven building mastery really amounts to this. We acknowledge that we have a responsibility in co-creating our purpose, and we acknowledge that purpose really in the side of participation that calls forth our own efforts really needs our understanding to the best of our ability of what is the toolkit, the skill set of capabilities, skills, yes, awarenesses, talents, gifts, and the like that we must bring onto the table in order for all of it to work out ever more, to have a growth cycle that can bring forth the results that we are after. Yes, and so purpose-driven building mastery calls forth for, first and foremost, the builder, for sure, and the builder is you and me. We are the builders. So what is that we are seeking to build these days? Is it we are just in the exploratory stage, still dealing with what is purpose in my life, how do I find what my life purpose is? Or are we already in the transitioning phase, that we are trying to put the pieces together? Or we are already in the place or in the context of excelling, serving with our purpose, and then in that very same context, we really need to deliver results. At least those are the necessities that the context calls forth regarding our role, and as such we are being asked to deliver some sort of results. So that's the first thing. What is your place in the journey right this moment? What are you living right this moment? Because is it the purpose of in your current job? What purpose that job has specific to the function? Can you address it? And do you see purpose in your organization if you are doing it in an organization? What is the intended purpose? And if not, if you don't feel like they have a purpose that really feels like purpose, that really feels like that truthful, authentic, creative expression of the business, that really represents what is the good that the business can do for society beyond money, beyond putting money onto the pockets of stakeholders and shareholders and management and employees. If you can't, can you think about how can that business make a difference on the society for the good of us all? What is the main service that, in deeper terms, that really represents the best of the business? Can you see it? Can you sense it? Can you make that business come alive just for you? Seeing that, really connecting into that possible difference that your business does or makes, and then delivering ever more into practical terms that very vision that you have for your business. Can you share that idea in a way that can be relatable with your colleagues, with your boss, with the people that you serve day in and day out? Can you do that? Can you make a way? Can you pave the way for that vision to be shared for ever more people around you? Can you inspire them, no matter what position you have, in order to consider your vision? If so, if some of these questions ignite something in you, for sure you can. And for sure you must. And for sure, 360 degrees leadership, it is really a reality for you to grasp and for you to activate and for you to take a hold to the best of your ability, for sure. Taking your time, taking your own way of seeing things, and giving your own expression, depending, of course, on the context, etc., etc., etc. We already know that there are no fixed measures, there are no set in stone rules or commandments, but we have some principles and we have some specifics that are universal and that works for sure. And so this is the first thing. The thing is the builder, the people who builds, and we all are builders. But of course, only those who see themselves as purpose-driven will look themselves as purpose-driven builders. That's a given. Although we all participate in it, only those who have the awareness, the disposition, the willingness to go there and who have already connected themselves with that deeper source that nurtures our souls, that make us feel alive, yes, only us are in position to ignite a spark for others. And for sure, we can only ignite a spark if our own spark is already ignited. So the first stage of it all, the first vector of the triangle really is the builder. Then we can think, and the second vector is the project. The project for that mastery to be expressed in a building that is purposeful. So it really amounts to project, purpose-driven project. Initiative, management, deployment of whatever is that is being called forth in that regard. And in such we do need the tools for the project management. Yes. And what are the tools? Well, depends on what is the area. If you're talking about project management as such, of course I can recall this book, and I've shared it in the past. Advanced Project Management is one book that really stresses and deals with the conventional side of project management as such. Yes, but even this book that has a complete guide for the key processes, models, and techniques, like they say, even this book needs to be updated with more current practices that really reflects the incredible growth that purpose-driven capabilities and lenses have come across these latest years. It is incredible, the amount of growth that is. I've been reading another book since I finished, for those of you who follow the lives, like Julieta, you may recall that I was talking about reading Mr. Charles Eisenstein books. The last book I finished from him is The Sacred Economics, and I love the book. I really loved it. I really feel the soul pervading the book, and I really felt the purpose-driven strength into it. But now I'm finishing another book, which is a wonderful book also. I will show you. Dognut Economics. This is a wonderful book, Dognut Economics. 7 Ways to Think Like a 21st Century Economist, from Miss or Mrs. Kate Raworth, considered the John Maynard Keynes of the 20th century. Those of you who have some knowledge of economics know that being called as a Keynes, it's really a big deal. It's like being called an Einstein in the quantum field physics realms. So Keynes and Adam Smith are the two big colossal figures in macroeconomic theory, and as such they when someone is called as a Keynes, it really amounts to something, for sure. And this lady, this wonderful lady, which is an economist in Oxford, and has taken a stance into several on-the-field endeavors, really is a purpose-driven economist, and she came up with this representation of a donut, which really tries to express how can we take all our views from the economy and from building a society with the materialistic, rationalistic principles still pervasive these days, and how to reshape and even recast completely all of it in order to make something radically different that can put us all in the steering wheel of our economy and our society. It really is a book about participative civic engagement, in my perspective, yes. And I believe it's not hard to see it, because she really brings economics forth in a way truly innovative, truly collaborative, and truly inspiring. And the metaphor of the donut is incredibly enlightening about the way this lady is doing it. And I really recommend that you read the book. But the idea and why I bring the book here into this life, because I'm about to violate one of the principles that I've shared with you. And that was the principle that I only share things that are, or not only, but mostly things that I live and breathe. I can do it. I can't do it in full honor of the title of this transmission and in full honor of this book. I can't do it. Thinking right this moment about the information that I'm coming across for the first time, because it is amazing the incredible array of innovations in the economics, in the social politics, in the participative realms of economic, and in every single realm you can imagine. In the financial realm, like you can think like in regenerative finance, can you believe it? It's incredible. Yes. Banks setting built for the common good instead of putting dividends and obscene amount of money into the shareholders' pockets. Can you believe it? Yes. This book talks about it. How can we design those? How can we participate in those? And many other things that I've already that I was already aware, and now they really are backed not just from some ideal or some vision, but they are backed from on the ground experiences. They are backed from studies, research, not only in universities but outside, research done by several different people. And one of the most incredible things, and that's the thing that mostly motivates me for sharing it, is that many, if not all, things that I've seen in the ancient wisdom area, yes, in the spiritual science realm, are really getting a visible, manifest expression into this book and in ideas like those expressed in this book. For instance, the idea like look at nature and understand the universal principles around it and below it and embedded in nature, and derive your understanding of yourself and of life and all there is created by you, others, or naturally looking at nature. This very same message from the ancient wisdom, from Kabbalah, from the Tree of Life, from astrology, from many other fields of human endeavor, ancient fields, and many others, of course, from the most modern currents of coaching, neurolinguistic programming, body language, and so on and so on and so on, are being translated into books like this. Just one simple idea like in this book. One of the 7 ways Mrs. Raworth suggests for us to really be a full citizen participating in the new branch of economics is like nurture human nature, she says, from rational economic men to sociable, adaptable humans. That's one of the things. And in this thing, she says something that is common sense for every person that ever walked into an economics classroom. People like myself, who've taken a bachelor in economics and that was given a whole bunch of theories and models, very somewhat complicated, but they all were very narrowed, assembled into a very false premise that we as humans are homo economicus, making decisions into society that only are driven by our self-interest, and that we take rational decisions most of the times, and that we seek first and foremost to be reasonable, self-directed by our own ego players. And of course, this is wrong. She shows how it is wrong, and she also shows some of the reasons that me and many colleagues, or some colleagues at least, felt really taking a hard time finishing that degree. I really because of the theories, the context, the types of incentives that are putting into place. One study showed that really economic theory makes people's decisions and not the other way around. So if we are educated by current theories, that we are greedy, that we seek to make ever more money no matter what cost to the other people, that we do this and do that and do that, guess what? This really reflects the subject-object principle of Eisenstein that we already talked. Heisenberg, I'm sorry, not Eisenstein. Heisenberg, that subject determines the object and they are co-creating each other's realities. And she says that that translates into people who studied economics and current finance, and when making personality tests, they tend to show and to exhibit more marked traits of greedy, yes, of egotistical behavior, of only looking for their best ego interest, because they were educated for doing so. And that's the take. So, and then we say, many of us, oh, but human nature is, it's incredibly hard to make it good because we are bad by this and bad by that. No, we have co-created ourselves into what we are. And we have twisted, we have perverted, and the system set in place, the systems in our society still deliver, invite, facilitate those very same results. So we need to think broadly, we need to address a range perspective, like I've said many times, which in this context really amounts, if we want to build things that last, that are really purpose driven, we need to think in systems. We need to adopt the systems thinking. Yes, that's one of the other suggestions that this lady made. Yes, not the only one, not the first one. I've talked about Donella Meadows, I believe so. Thinking in Systems is a wonderful book about systems thinking, design thinking. That's what we really need to consider, yes, if we want to take the ball further into really living our life purpose in a way that really makes sense, and in a way that puts us in the position that we are going to call forth. Yes, let me make a prophecy. It's not even a prophecy because it's almost mainstream these days, almost on the verge of being fully mainstream. If we want to really have our citizenship in our hands, we need to understand how, not only how life in human development, personal self-help terms works, but how society works, how economics works, how politics works, how finance works. Every single realm of life that really contributes to our happiness should be understandable, and we have the sources for doing it ever more. For sure, educational system, sanitation, nutrition. Yes, we all are, in my perspective, if we want to have mastery into building our own purpose, and if we want to do it together, if we want to reunite and gather our own strength to do it, and if you want to have power in our hands to really mold our lives, we don't need to do it overnight, but we are invited. We are invited to understand it. We are invited to really uphold and to really embrace all this wealth of information that is meeting the light of the day right this moment. Because even this book from Mrs. Raworth, it's 2017 book. Let me check it again. Yes, 2017 book. So, can you imagine what will happen? We are in post-COVID times. The urgency of this message is ever more needed these days. And of course, you don't have to become a full-blown economist or entrepreneur or what, but we need to understand. We all need to understand what implications does those realms of life has into us making our full contribution possible. That really represents ourselves. That really can make our legacy ever more a reality. From dream to practicality. What really is that is needed. And yes, for sure. And this, I'm already talking about the third vector, if you prefer, about this trifecta of purpose building mastery. This is the trifecta of tools for purpose, and that's this book is like a toolkit for the new economics, but it's not like a Big Mac of solutions that you just put this and that, right? Okay, and that's done. No, it makes several invitations for each and every one of us became a full-blown economist. That's what this Dognet economic book makes. And for those of you that are Portuguese, and that I know that there is a translated version of this book in Portuguese. I know it. I've already checked it. I've bought it, the English one, because first, I prefer to read it in the original, and second, it's much cheaper. It's half the price of buying it in Portuguese retail stores or online stores. It's half the price. So I've bought the original. And the original really amounts to calling forth our participative seat into the economic game of life. And even beyond economics. Yes, I really believe this book can do for economics what Wikipedia has done for worldwide knowledge sharing, in the sense of making economics accessible and once more a reality subject to innovation by every citizen. That's the biggest invitation I can find in this book. And with several very simple representations, like the one of the donut, that really amounts to not crossing thresholds below the planetary capacity of all sort of resources at the outside border of the donut, and providing for every single human and for every life form the much needed rights, resources, and opportunities for that person, that being, fully express itself. So, of course, it is really purpose-driven, this book. And yes, for sure, I'm just giving an example of a thing that is being part of my purpose-driven efforts these days, and so I'm sharing it with you. But you can make your own recipe. You can harvest your own ingredients for your own purpose-driven building mastery. And I really expect these lives to be an invitation for you doing so. Yes, I really expect, or I really wish, more than an expectation, like an intent, that you really understand that we have so many points of view available for dealing with our own purpose, no matter if it's the Pythagoras point of view of the ancient numerical meanings and symbols. I've talked a whole bunch of things around that side, that symbolical side of life, that it's derived by cosmic motions, celestial bodies, understanding from the eyes, from the perspective of us humans, looking from here to there, to the skies, and trying to derive a sense of order in order to make our crops, to understand the seasons in the earth, and to make decisions that made organized life possible. But from there, we can go and we can see it in every realm of human endeavor, whole different set of suggestions and principles and practices and lessons that really, in the end, it's my deep feeling, because I'm seeing it when I look at things from those different angles, that they all have a common ground. They all have common principles onto it. And of course, I have my own perspective that those principles codified by the ancient wisdom societies, those principles really can help us making a sense of everything. When I can see them here also. Mr. Kate Raworth, for instance, she came across with 7 ways. And of course, those are not just 7 ways. Those were 7 platforms, 7 concepts, 7 articulations that Mrs. Raworth have chosen in order to organize a plethora of and wealth of understanding. But those very 7, those can be seen related with the 7 cosmic celestial bodies, for instance, with the 7 days of the week. And of course, with giving the reader the opportunity of reading a chapter a day and reading the whole book in 7 days. We can see it with different perspectives. I can see it with the perspective of the writer. I can see it with the perspective of the human developed ancient philosopher. I can see it, and we can all do it. Not just me. I'm speaking of me. We can all do this as such. And so this is the invitation. And today is a very special day, and I will finish with this because it's 4th of July. Not of July, I'm sorry, I'm making a confusion. It's 4th of June. But in the 4th of July, 1 month from this day, we have another mythos, we have another story about how a nation set himself, has purpose-driven, built, according to ancient wisdom knowledge, with the eyes set on the vision of a new civilization, more humanity-friendly on this earth. And of course, I'm talking about the United States. And I was making the mistake right now, but I correct it in time, I believe. And the same happened, I've told you, for those of you that have seen it, I've told you about the country's purpose, project, or idea that I worked at times, that I still have. Seeing that and perceiving it into several different countries, national birth histories, or national myths, if you prefer. And of course, here in Portugal, we have the same purpose-driven building mythos relating our king Afonso Henriques, I'm sorry, with a miracle in Ourique before a battle, miracle which bring sacred meaning to the foundation of Portugal. So I really believe that there is a pervasive stream of understanding that really creates a perception of reality that truly is unified, and then it can explode into several different realms of life. And that we can, for sure, we can learn ever more how to create that in a way that make us feel ever more alive, and that make us understandable of what life is all about. And of course, especially having full respect for the unspeakable realm of life, the unseen of life, that is beyond words, that is beyond theories, mythos, histories, ideas, utopias type of understanding. And that's the basis of it all. And we, as humans, and if we really want to build something better, we really need to keep that onto the dance of life. And I've told many times about that imperative of presence, the imperative of being mindful, the imperative of making peace with all there is into the present moment. And that is really, my friends, the beginning, the alpha, and the end, the omega of it all. Yes. And so, if you don't have any questions, I will thank you once more for stopping by, especially you, Julieta, because you are the utmost participant in that sense of being many times here, every time, to the best of my memory, yes. And for sure, we must don't forget that this is not a sprint. This is a long range walk that takes all of our time. And we must make the very best we can without straining ourselves, at the same time without wasting time. That's the thing. Passing the redundancy. Same time, wasting time. And for today is all. If you don't have any questions, remarks, or comments, that, as you know, I will always cherish and take as of wonderful value. Tomorrow we will talk about purposeful nurturing in the sense of taking care of that dimension with a really different switch in that sense. So that's our thing tomorrow. Purposeful nurturing. Talk soon. Take care. Bye.